But here's the big debate around this word help. The debate in light of this text is, do women have, as helpers, a subordinate role to the man's in human flourishing? Now, we know, and we've already covered, that women are equal in dignity, worth, and importance, so that's not the issue. And we're not talking about, do women have to be subordinate to any and all men? That's not, we've already covered that. No, they do not. So the question and the debate around the word helper here, the word help, is, does the woman hold a subordinate role to the man's in the task of human flourishing? Now, a couple of things that we have to consider so that we define this word correctly, we understand this word correctly. Number one is that when ezer, that's the word in Hebrew, is used, it is most often used for how God engages with man. All right, so the word help, ezer, is most often used in regards to God helping man. And so let me give you a couple of these texts. Exodus chapter 18, verse 4. And the name of the other, Eliezer, for he said, Eliezer, here's kind of the meaning of his name. For he said, the God of my father was my help and delivered me from the sword of Pharaoh. God is my helper. Deuteronomy 33:7. And this he said of Judah, hear, O Lord, the voice of Judah, and bring him into his people. With your hands contend for him and be a what? Help against his adversaries, right? So God is our helper. One more, Psalm 33, verse 20. Our soul waits for the Lord. He is our what? Our help and our shield. And so here's what I would say. God being called helper throughout the scriptures brings honor to the position of helper. And since God has been called the helper, a helper cannot be inherently inferior. So if woman has been made a helper fit for him, a woman as helper to the man cannot mean the woman is inferior in any way. So with that said, what does it mean to be a helper? Well, in every context in which ezer is used, and even how we use the word helper to this day, helper denotes someone helping the one with primary responsibility. You tracking with me? To be a helper is to help someone who holds the primary responsibility. If Josh Patterson comes to my office this week, knocks on the door and says, Chandler, can you help me with this? He is not asking me to do my job. He is asking me to do something that he has been tasked with, that he is too weak to accomplish. And so he is asking me to come help him. So strength isn't the question here. In fact, the one that's being helped is the weaker one who needs help in order to execute upon their primary responsibility. So although to be a helper is not inherently inferior, it is to come alongside the one with the primary responsibility. But to say that a woman who is helping is somehow inferior to the one with primary responsibility is to make the accusation that God is inferior for the help he gives his children. It's absurd. So she is a helper fit for him. Not a helper like him, but a helper fit for him. See, this phrase now, fit for him, leads us to the idea of complementarian relationship. The man and the woman were created unique by God, both in the image of God, equal in dignity, value, worth, but they have been meant to complement one another, not compete against one another. That the weaknesses of the one are strengthened by the strengths of the other, and the strengths of the other one are made even more strong by the strengths of the other. That there's a complementarian relationship where men are being men and women are being women in. That could have gone bad. That goes back to week one. We don't have time. If that happens, then you have the type of human flourishing that the Bible commends, that if we'd be willing to walk into it, our joy might increase, God's glory might be seen all the more brightly, and all of our hearts would be satisfied in him. And where we buck against this system, bad things happen.